Good evening, everybody. The Music Fan is back, bringing smiles to the faces, knowledge to the people, and most importantly, music to the masses. The time has finally come to unveil my top 50 albums of 2019. I know you've been waiting with anticipation, and it's finally here. But first, we gotta cover one last thing, and that is my honorable mentions. 2019 was a hell of a year in terms of music, so much so that I had a hard time narrowing it down to 75. But I want to give out 25 honorable mentions, ones that just missed my cut, do a quick sentence or two about each so that you guys have a little bit more music to listen to if you haven't heard it yet. And even if it didn't hit my honorable mentions, that just might mean it's in my top 50. It might mean that I didn't listen to it. Like I say with all these lists, this is my opinion. If you are going to critique my list, please be constructive. Let me know what I missed. Who knows, maybe I'll be able to give you a reason why I didn't listen to this album or I didn't like this album. And again, like I've said in previous years, to me what is most important is the album itself. Singles do make an album, but it's not the whole entire thing. That's why you're not going to be seeing something like the Taylor Swift album in my honorable mentions or in my top 50. You're not going to see the Lil Nas X album. You're not going to see the Ariana Grande album. A bunch of very popular singles, but not enough depth in my opinion. Albums are more important than the singles, and you'll see that throughout this list. I'm going to do a really quick honorable mentions list because these ones just missed the cut. It was very hard to get rid of all of these albums. Some of these are because I didn't have enough time to listen to it over and over again and have it stick in my memory. Some of these are because they were great, but just not good enough to crack the list. It's all an amalgamation of things that just missed my cut, but I think you guys would still like. We got Big Thief with both UFOF and Two Hands. We have Julian Jacqueline with Crushing, Sharon Van Etten with Remind Me Tomorrow, Carly Rae Jepsen with Dedicated, Matt Mose with Plastic Anniversary, Otoboke Beaver with Itacoma Hits, Mac DeMarco with Here Comes the Cowboy, Of Monsters and Men with Fever Dreams, one that really hurt getting rid of because I love a lot of songs on that album. Absolutely gorgeous album. Please take a look at it. Korn with The Nothing, Leonard Cohen with Thank You for the Dance. Two albums talking about death in different ways and are still very solid to listen to if you haven't listened to them. Volbeat with Rewind, Replay, Rebound. Harry Styles with Fine Line, Sitting Color with A Pill for Loneliness, and Flaming Lips with King's Mouth. All of them deserve at least a listen to. So now, let's get into this honorable mentions list. I'm not going to do it by number order, I'm going to do it by alphabetical order. That way, I'm not going over exactly what my ranking was. But if you do want to know, please let me know in the comments, and I will definitely do so for you. First off, we got Aldous Harding with Designer, one of the ones from the Consensus Top 50 list that I got to listen to. Really lovely folk album. It hit a little bit more than like the Julian Jacqueline album or the Sharon Van Etten album or the Big Thief albums. This one had a little bit more bite to it, a little bit more depth, though at the end of the day it did trail off a little bit at the end. Still a beautiful album to listen to. Next we got Avicii with Tim. A very heartbreaking album, the posthumous album from Avicii. The nice thing about this one is so many people collaborated with him to create this album. People like Arizona, Chris Martin, the lead singer from Imagine Dragons, just to name a few. A lot of really solid hits, though there are some ones that just don't last long enough or last a little bit too long. But with it being about 35 minutes to 40 minutes, very easy listen and a nice send-off to Avicii. Next we have Avantasia with Moon Glow. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have a metal opera, and my first dive into this band. Really solid album. It does get a little bit over the top at times, so if you are someone who thinks metal is a little bit over the top to begin with, this isn't going to help your case, but at the same time, a lot of really solid songs that just missed the cut because it is just a little bit too long and the cheese factor does get a little bit weird, but there's also a solid cover of Maniac on there, so hopefully that sells it for you. Next we got Bastille with Doom Days, one that I reviewed a long time ago. My favorite Bastille album yet. Their sound is finally cohesive, the narrative was really solid, and it hit me a lot of times with the idea of taking the world that we are in now with the technology that we have with the social unrest and expanding into one whole day. There are some songs that I don't necessarily like, but the whole entire narrative is really solid. If you've been looking for an album by Bastille that you want to latch onto, this is definitely the one. Next we have Bill Callahan with Shepherd in the Sheepskin Vest. One that I did not enjoy the first time I listened to it, but as I got into it more and more, I really enjoyed the storytelling and the songwriting from Bill Callahan. I really enjoyed his voice. Some of the songs feel somewhat similar, and it is jam-packed with songs even though it's only an hour long, but if you're looking for some very solid storytelling, definitely an album to listen to. Next we have The Cranberries In the End, another posthumous album, and one that makes me want to go back to their other work. A nice send off to the band. A lot of really solid songs on there, but just not enough to crack my top 50. Still, definitely worth a listen. A nice way to retire the Cranberries name. Next we have Danny Brown with You Know What I'm Saying, the most approachable Danny Brown album, and one that I found really enjoyable. So many songs that have some great production, even if it's not over the top, and because of that, you get to see how talented of a rapper Danny Brown is. It makes me want to go back to the rest of his work. I haven't always been a Danny Brown fan, but I would like to check out and see if I was just missing the idea of him the first time around. Next we have Dive, D-I-I-V with Deceiver. Very solid shoegaze album. One that my friend recommended to me, and I didn't like it at first, but as I got into it more and more, I really enjoyed the atmosphere that was created. I really enjoyed the guitar work on there. Definitely one to check out for a little bit more lo-fi, shoegazy ideas. Next we have Electric Guest with Kin. I love Electric Guest. Unfortunately, this time around, it's not necessarily my favorite album. There's a lot of really solid songs, but the flow of the album feels a little bit one dimension at times. Still, there's a lot of really, really good songs on here. Dollar is phenomenal. One For Me is phenomenal. More, I Got the Money. A lot of really good songs that if there was just a little bit more diversity would have definitely cracked my top 50. Next, Flume with High. This is Flume, a very erratic house DJ album. One that I found out about through Neil Drop. Really fun, really erratic. Definitely caught my ear. Even though I don't remember all of it, there was a lot of fun on the adventure itself. Next we have Fontaine's DC with Guru. In terms of the one that just missed my top 50, this is the one. And this one was a slow burner. I didn't like it at first, but as I listened to it more and more, I really enjoyed the more sedated punk. Something that was really reminiscent of The Clash. I really enjoyed the lead singer's vocals, and there's a lot of really beautiful songs throughout the album, especially the closing song. If I had listened to it more, it probably would have made my top 50, but I'm really excited to see where this band will go in the future. Next we have Half Alive with Now Not Yet. One that I was really looking forward to from 2019, and it didn't disappoint. There was a lot of really solid indie ideas. Stuff that sounds kind of like Two Door Cinema Club, stuff that sounds like Bon Iver, stuff that sounds like 21 Pilots, though I would say they didn't really develop their own style or sound, and the latter half of the album doesn't hit the same way that the first part of the album does. Still, really solid debut album. I would love to see what else they can do. Next we have Hobo Johnson with The Fall of Hobo Johnson. A really solid rap spoken word album. Some people think it's kind of a Macklemore clone, but I think there's a lot of more in-depth ideas and more interesting ideas than sometimes Macklemore had done. There are some songs that get a little bit too experimental and I didn't enjoy, but I'm really happy that I listened to it, and I can't wait to see what Hobo Johnson does next. Next we have Kano with Hoodies All Summer, another one of these albums that I heard about on the consensus top 50 list from albumoftheyear.org. A really solid UK rapper who talks about family, talks about the social unrest in UK as well as the fallout of Brexit. Really solid, but I think there was some other rap albums that I enjoyed just a little bit better, so it didn't make my top 50. Next we have Keen with Cause and Effect, a phenomenal comeback album from them. It doesn't hit the highs of their first two albums, but there's still a lot of really solid songs like I'm Not Leaving and Stupid Things, which is one of my favorite songs of the year. The storyline about the divorce and the void of a relationship with one of the band members is one that a lot of people can understand and latch onto. And I think there's a lot of really sentimental songs on here. Definitely a great return to form, and I hope that they continue putting out new music. Next we have King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard with Fishing for Fishes, not Infest the Rat's Nest. I still do not really enjoy Infest the Rat's Nest. There are some more interesting ideas with time signatures on that one, but I don't like the tongue-in-cheek metal. I know it feels weird to say that, but it just feels like a dime a dozen metal album. I don't understand the praise of it, in my opinion. On the other hand, Fishing for Fishes, I really enjoyed the vibe of a lot of songs on the album. There's a lot of really fun boogie songs on there. The latter half of the album leaves a little bit to be desired, but I definitely am excited to check out more King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard because there are at least 12 different albums that I haven't listened to yet, so I'm happy to have listened to this. It just missed my cut though. Next we have Liam Gallagher with Why Me, Why Not? A very solid sophomore album. It doesn't hit the highs of his first one, but still really solid. If you are missing Oasis, Liam Gallagher has at least got you with his solo work. Next, Lindsay Stirling with Artemis. Really solid violin instrumental album. I have enjoyed a lot of her work, and to me this is her best album. It does tend to get a little bit too poppy on the latter half, but there's so much there that is really enjoyable. Check it out. Next we have the New Pornographers with In the Morse Code of Brake Lights. It does not hit the same highs as Whiteout Conditions, but there are still a lot of really good songs, especially Falling Down the Stairs of Your Smile. Also check out the music video for that. It is awesome. One of the better music videos I've seen all year. The latter half, again, doesn't do that well, but still another solid outing from them, and I can't wait to see what else they can do. Next, we have Post Malone with Hollywood's Bleeding. I know, that's crazy. I'm not a huge Post Malone fan, but this one sold me. There's a lot of really solid pop trap songs on here. This is the one where I finally got to really enjoy Post Malone's vocals. There are some times where he does kind of weird endings to his phrases, but overall, he's a very solid melody writer and a very solid songwriter. So definitely check it out if you are not on the Post Malone bandwagon. I'm still not, but I at least really enjoyed this one, and I will be curious to see what else he can do. Next, we have Purple Mountains with Purple Mountains, a posthumous album again. I didn't enjoy it as much as everybody else, but I did like the cynical and tongue-in-cheek nature of some songs, and there are some very heartbreaking moments on there. Don't miss this particular album. Definitely worth your time. We got Tom York with Anima, another solid outing from the members of Radiohead. A very danceable album for the apocalypse. It didn't necessarily stay with me throughout the year, but still a solid one, and I can't wait to see what else Radiohead will do next. Then we got Tropical Foxstorm with Braindrops, my first dive into them. I really enjoyed listening to them. It has this like kind of solid noise rock, alt rock vibe. There's a lot of really fun songs on there, especially the World's Happiest Man. I really enjoy the vibe of that particular song, so definitely check them out. Then we got Two Door Cinema Club with False Alarm. Kind of has the same vibe as a game show. It doesn't hit as well, but I still thoroughly love the first half of the album. The second half, unfortunately, doesn't do as well, so that's why I couldn't hit my top 50, but still another solid outing from Two Door Cinema Club. And finally, last but not least, we got Vampire Weekend with Father of the Bride. This one might be the most surprising one because a lot of people have been putting it much higher, but if you've been watching any of my previous videos, you know that I haven't enjoyed the whole entire album as much as other people have. There are some solid songs like Harmony Hall and This Life, but on the whole, I can't put it in my top 50 because it's not cohesively one of the best 50 albums of the year. That's my honorable mentions. You have a lot to listen to, and I'll put the links to all the albums in the description box. If you haven't seen your favorite albums yet, that might be because I haven't listened to them. That might be because they're in my top 50. Let me know though in the comments what your favorite albums are of the year, and keep a lookout for videos for the rest of the week, because by the end of the week we'll be crowning my favorite album from 2019. Let me know what you love or hate about this list. Share this with your friends. Most importantly, subscribe to my channel. That way you can see more of these videos, because trust me, if you enjoyed my honorable mentions, you're going to love the hell out of my top 50 list. This is The Music Fan, and I'm signing off.